They called it a beast, but the way it looked at her said otherwise asterisk. The research facility on Nexus 7 hummed with artificial life beneath the purple sky. Elena Reeves adjusted her lab coat as she walked through the sterile corridors, her footsteps echoing against the metal walls. She had been working as a xenobiologist for 3 years, but something felt different today. The other scientists whispered in hushed tones, and security had doubled overnight. Dr. Reeves, Director Voss, called. From his office doorway, his cold gray eyes fixed on her with unusual intensity. I need you to examine our new specimen. Sector 12, Level 5. Elena nodded, her heart racing with curiosity and dread. Sector 12 was restricted access only. She had never been there before. The elevator descended deeper than she knew the facility went, and when the doors opened, the air felt heavier, charged with something she couldn't name. The corridor was dimmer here, lined with reinforced cells. Most were empty, but at the end, she saw it. A massive containment unit surrounded by energy barriers. Inside sat a figure that made her breath catch in her throat. He was tall, easily 7 feet, with skin that shimmered like starlight. His hair was silver white, flowing like liquid mercury over broad shoulders. But it was his eyes that stopped her cold. Deep violet orbs that held intelligence, pain, and something else, something achingly familiar. Beautiful, isn't he? Dr. Marsh, the facility's head researcher, appeared beside her. We found him on a reconnaissance mission. His ship was damaged, drifting in space. The perfect specimen. Elena watched as the being sat motionless, his powerful frame pressed against the far wall of his cell. Despite his imposing size, there was something gentle about the way he held himself, like he was trying to make himself smaller, less threatening. Is he? She whispered. We call them the Ethery. This one hasn't spoken since we brought him in 2 weeks ago. No communication attempts have worked. Marsh activated his tablet, showing Elena various test results. But look at these readings. His cellular structure is unlike anything we've seen. The applications could be revolutionary. Elena approached the containment unit slowly. The beings, head lifted, and their eyes met. In that instant, something passed between them, a connection that felt like lightning through her veins. She heard her name, spoken not aloud, but directly into her mind. Elena, she stumbled backward, her heart pounding. The voice was gentle, musical, filled with a loneliness that mirrored her own. She looked at the being again, and this time she saw past his alien features to the person within. His eyes were wet with unshed tears. Did you say something, Marsh? Asked, not looking up from his tablet. Elena managed, her voice barely a whisper. She couldn't take her eyes off the prisoner. He was watching her with hope now, a desperate kind of hope that made her chest ache. Please, the voice came again, soft as silk in her mind. Help me, I need to run some tests, Elena said quickly. Alone, to establish baseline readings without interference. Marsh shrugged and handed her the access codes. Don't get too close. We still don't know what he's capable of. After Marsh left, Elena stood alone with the being. The facility's hum seemed distant now, replaced by the sound of her own racing heartbeat. She approached the control panel with trembling hands. Can you really hear my thoughts? She whispered. Yes, came the reply. Stronger now, and you can hear mine. You're different from the others. You see me? What's your name, Kale? The name resonated in her mind like a prayer. I am Kale of the 7th House, son of the Crystal Shores. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. I'm Elena. I'm a scientist, but I'm not like them. I study life to protect it, not harm it. Kale moved closer to the barrier, and she could see him more. Clearly now, his face was angular but beautiful, with high cheekbones and a strong jaw. Markings like constellations traced along his temples, glowing faintly with inner light. They took me from my ship, he continued. My people think I am dead. They will leave soon, believing I cannot be saved. Your people are looking for you. They were. But it has been too long. Soon they will perform the rite of passage and move on. His mental voice carried such sadness that Elena felt it like a physical weight in her chest. She pressed her hand against the cool metal of the containment unit. On the other side, Kale raised his own hand, aligning it with hers. Even through the barrier, She could feel warmth radiating. From him, won't let them hurt you, she whispered, knowing even as she said it, that she was making a promise she might not be able to keep. Alina couldn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Cale's face, felt the echo of his voice in her mind. She had never experienced anything like their connection, a bond that transcended species and logic. When morning came, she was already dressed and heading back to Sector 12. The facility was quieter in the early hours, most staff not arriving until later. Alina used her new access codes to slip into the restricted area, her heart pounding with each step. She found Cale exactly where she had left him, but now he was standing, waiting for her. "You came back." His voice filled her mind with warmth. "Told you I would." She approached the containment unit, noting the way his eyes tracked her every movement. "Are you hurt? Have they done anything to you?" "They take samples. Blood, tissue. They think I cannot feel pain because I do not cry out." Cale's expression darkened, "But I heal quickly. It is both blessing and curse." Alina felt anger rise in her chest. "That's barbaric. You're a sentient being, not a laboratory animal. You truly see me as a person." "Of course I do." She sat down cross-legged in front of the barrier, and after a moment, Cale mirrored her position. "Tell me about your home." For the next hour, Cale shared images through their mental link. Alina saw crystal cities that rose like songs into lavender, skies, oceans that glowed with bioluminescent life, and people like Cale who lived in harmony with their world. His people were peaceful, focused on art, science, and spiritual growth. "We have no weapons," he explained. "No armies. We believed the universe was filled with beings like us, seeking knowledge and beauty. Most of us aren't like the people here," Alina said softly. "Humanity has the capacity for great kindness, too. I know, I can feel it in you." Cale's mental voice grew tender. "Your heart calls to mine across the void between worlds." Alina felt heat rise in her cheeks. The connection between them was growing stronger, more intimate. She could sense his emotions as clearly as her own, and what she felt from him made her breath catch. Affection, longing, something deeper that she wasn't ready to name. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "If they knew we could communicate, ... would use it against both of us." Cale's expression grew serious. "There is something else you must know. They plan to transport me to the capital world. There they will dissect me completely." Elena's blood ran cold. "When?" 3 days. I heard them speaking when they thought I could not understand." She stood, abruptly, pacing in front of the containment unit. "There has to be something we can do, some way to get you out of here. The barriers are too strong. Even if you could disable them, the facility is heavily guarded. Then we need help." Lena thought of Marcus Webb, her research partner and closest friend at the facility. He had always questioned the more ruthless aspects of their work. "I know. Someone who might understand." That evening, Alina found Marcus in the observation lounge, staring out at Nexus 7's twin moons. He looked up as she approached, noting her troubled expression. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he said, making room for her on the bench. "Marcus, if I told you something that could get us both in serious trouble, would you listen?" His brown eyes grew serious. "Alina, what's wrong?" She took a deep breath and told him everything. About Cale, about their connection, about the planned transfer. Marcus listened without interruption, his expression growing more troubled with each word. "Jesus." "Alina, a telepathic alien? You've been communicating with it?" "With him," she corrected firmly. "His name is Cale, and he's not an it. He's as intelligent as we are, maybe more so." Marcus ran his hands through his sandy hair. "This is insane. If Voss finds out, ... double quotes. Will you help me?" He was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the stars. Finally, he sighed. "I've been having doubts about this place for months. The things they're doing to the specimens, the complete disregard for any ethical considerations. Maybe it's time someone took a stand." Alina felt tears of relief spring to her eyes. "Thank you." The next morning, Rakus accompanied Alina to Sector 12. She could feel his nervousness as they approached Cale's containment unit, but also his scientific curiosity. Cale was waiting for them, and Alina saw him tense when he noticed the stranger. "Okay," she said aloud. "This is Marcus. He's going to help us." "He's afraid," Cale observed. "So am I," Alina admitted. "But sometimes fear is what makes us brave." Marcus stared at Cale with wide eyes. "My God, Alina, he's magnificent." Moment, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed, and they could hear running footsteps in the corridors above. Elena's heart sank. Had they been discovered? But then Cale's face transformed, hope blazing in his violet eyes. "They came back," he whispered in her mind. "My people came back for me." Through the facility's walls, they could hear the sound of ships landing, of energy weapons charging. Alina realized they had run out of time. Whatever they were going to do, they had to do it now. The facility shook as explosions rocked the upper levels. Through their mental link, Alina could feel Cale's mixture of hope and desperation. His people had returned, but he was trapped deep underground, and they didn't know where to find him. "Have to get him out of here," Alina said, her voice barely audible over the blaring alarms. Now, while everyone's distracted, Marcus was already at the containment unit's control panel, his fingers flying over the interface. "The barriers are connected to the main power grid. If I can reroute the emergency power, security teams to all levels," Director Voss's voice crackled over the intercom. "We have hostile contacts on the surface. Protect the specimens at all costs." Alina felt sick. Even now, with his facility under attack, Voss thought of Cale as nothing more than a valuable research subject. She pressed her hands against the containment barrier, meeting Cale's gaze. "Can you contact your people?" she asked through their link. "Not from here. The barriers block my abilities. But if I can reach the surface, .. Got it," Marcus shouted as the energy barriers flickered and died. The containment unit's door slid open with a soft hiss. Cale stepped out, and Alina got her first full look at him unobstructed. He was even more magnificent than she had imagined, tall and graceful despite his obvious strength. The markings on his skin pulsed with soft light, and she could feel power radiating from him like heat from a star. He reached out tentatively, and Alina didn't hesitate. She took his hand, gasping at the contact. His skin was warm with a texture, like silk over steel. Through their joined hands, their mental connection deepened, and she could feel his emotions as if they were her own. "Alina," he said her name like a prayer, his free hand coming up to cup her face. "You saved me." "We're not safe yet," she whispered, though part of her wanted to stay in this moment forever. The sound of approaching footsteps broke the spell. Marcus grabbed a plasma rifle from the security station. "We need to move." The elevator shaft is compromised, but there's an emergency stairwell that leads to the surface. They ran through the corridors. Cale moving with fluid grace beside Alina. She could hear his people in her mind now, their voices calling to him across the facility. The E3 had abilities that went far beyond simple telepathy. Marcus pointed to a maintenance hatch that leads to the service tunnels. As they climbed through the narrow passages, Alina became acutely aware of Cale's presence behind her. His hand occasionally touched her back to steady her, and each contact sent warmth spreading through her body. She had never felt such an intense attraction to anyone, human or otherwise. They emerged into chaos. The surface of Nexus 7 was lit by the glow of energy weapons and burning structures. Overhead, ships unlike anything Alina had ever seen hovered in the purple sky. They were beautiful, organic-looking craft that seemed to pulse with living light. "Cale." The voice came from above, and Alina looked up to see figures descending from the ships on beams of pure energy. They were E3, like Cale, but smaller, more delicate. One of them landed gracefully nearby, her silver hair flowing around her like liquid starlight. "Brother," she said, and Alina could hear her voice through Cale's mind. "We thought you were lost to us." Zarakel's own voice was full of emotion. As he embraced his sister, "I knew you would not abandon me." Alina felt a pang of something she didn't want to examine too closely. Jealousy? Fear of being left behind? She started to step back, but Cale's hand found hers, his fingers intertwining. "With hers, she comes with us," he said firmly to his sister. She and her friend, they saved my life. Zara's violet eyes fixed on Alina with startling intensity. A human? Brother, you cannot be serious. I am bonded to her, Kale replied, and Alina felt her heart skip a beat. She is my mate. Whoa, wait, Marcus, said, clearly able to sense the tension, even without telepathy. What's happening here? More ethery were landing around them, and Alina could feel their disapproval like a physical weight. But Kale stood firm, his hand warm and steady in hers. Among my people, he said aloud for Marcus's benefit, when two souls connect as deeply as ours have, it creates a bond that cannot be broken. Alina is my chosen one, as I am hers. Alina's mind reeled. She had felt the connection between them, the growing attraction and understanding. But this was beyond anything she had imagined. Do you accept? Kale asked, through their private link, his mental voice vulnerable. Will you come with me to the stars? Before she could answer, energy weapons fire erupted around them. Human. Security forces had reached the surface, and they were firing on the ethery ships. Alina saw Director Voss among them, his face twisted with rage. Bring me that specimen, he shouted, and eliminate the traitors. Alina didn't think. She threw herself in front of Kale as a plasma bolt seared through the air where he had been standing. The energy burned across her shoulder, and she cried out in pain. Kale's roar of fury shook the ground. Power blazed from him, creating a protective barrier around their group. His eyes had gone completely white, and Alina could feel his rage. Threatening to consume everything in its path. She is hurt. His mental voice was like thunder. They hurt my mate. Through the pain, Alina reached up and touched his face. I'm okay, she whispered. Don't let anger consume you. That's not who you are. Slowly, the blazing power receded, and Kale's eyes returned to their normal violet. He gathered her against his chest, and she could feel healing energy flowing from him into her wounded shoulder. We must go, Zara said urgently. More ships are coming. As the beam of energy lifted them toward the ethery ship, Alina looked back at Marcus. Come with us, she called. He shook his head, smiling sadly. This is your destiny, not mine, but I'll make sure they know the truth about what happened here. As they rose into the alien ship, Alina felt she was leaving her old life behind forever. But with Kale's arms around her and his love warming her heart, she wasn't afraid. She was ready for whatever came next. The interior of the ethery ship was unlike anything Alina had ever experienced. The walls curved organically, pulsing with soft bioluminescent light that responded to the emotions of those within. Crystalline formations grew from the surfaces. Humming with energy that felt alive and aware, Kale led her to what she assumed was a medical bay, though it looked more like a garden than a hospital. Plants with leaves that shimmered like jewels surrounded a platform made of what appeared to be living crystal. The air itself seemed to have healing properties, and Alina felt her shoulder wound beginning to mend even before Kale began his work. Lie still, he said gently, his hands hovering over her injury. Warm golden light flowed from his palms, and Alina watched in amazement as her burned flesh knitted itself back together. But more than the physical healing, she could feel him pouring his love into her through the bond they shared. How is this possible? She whispered. Not just about the healing, but about everything. The ship, the connection between them. The way her heart had recognized his from the moment they met. My people believe that souls choose each other across lifetimes, Kale explained, his voice soft with wonder, and two beings are meant to be. Together, their spirits call to each other no matter what form they wear or what world they come from. Alina reached up to touch the constellation markings on his temple. They pulsed brighter under her fingertips, and she gasped as visions flooded her mind. She saw herself and Kale in different forms, different lives, always finding each other, always choosing love despite the obstacles. The bond, she breathed. It's real as the stars themselves. Kale leaned down, his forehead touching hers. But Alina, you must understand what this means. If you accept the bond fully, you will be changed. Your lifespan will match mine. Your abilities will grow. You will become something new, something between human and ethery. Elena's heart raced. How long do your people live? Thousands of your years. We age slowly, and our bodies can heal from almost any injury. Mental voice grew uncertain. I will not force this choice on you. You could return to your world, live a normal human life. I would understand. Elena sat up, taking his face in both her hands. Wow. The love she felt for him was so strong, it took her breath away. Kale, I've spent my whole life studying the stars, dreaming of what might be out there. You're not just showing me the universe, you're offering to share it with me. How could I say no? Relief flooded through their bond, followed by joy so pure it brought tears to both their eyes. Kale pulled her close, and when his lips met hers, Elena felt the last barriers between them dissolve. The kiss was electric, awakening something deep in her DNA that had been waiting for this moment. Light surrounded them, and Elena felt her body changing on a cellular level. It didn't hurt. Instead, it was like waking up from a long sleep, like coming alive for the first time. When the glow faded, she looked at her hands and saw that her skin now had a subtle luminescence. And she could feel new senses awakening. You are beautiful, Kale said, his voice full of awe. My mate, my bonded one. Their moment was interrupted by Zara entering the healing chamber. Elena could now sense the other woman's emotions directly, and what she felt was a mixture of concern and reluctant acceptance. The council wishes to speak with you both, Zara said. Word of the bonding has spread through the fleet. Elena felt a chill of apprehension. Are we in trouble? Some of our people fear humans, Kale admitted. They have seen what your kind can do to those they consider different, but others believe that love transcends species, that it is the universe's way of teaching us to grow. They made their way to what Elena supposed was the ship's bridge. Though it looked more like a vast garden with a crystal dome showing the stars above, a group of Etheri stood in a circle, their faces grave. Elena recognized their leader immediately. She was ancient, her silver hair flowing like water, her eyes holding the wisdom of millennia. I am Council Mother Thesa, the woman said, her mental voice carrying authority that made Elena want to bow. You are the human who is bonded with our son. I am, Elena replied aloud, then switched to mental speech, as she had seen Kale do. I am Elena, and I love him. Love, Council, Mother Thesa mused. Such a simple word for such a complex force. Tell me, child, do you understand what you have chosen? The path you have set yourself upon? Elena felt Kale's hand find hers, his strength flowing through their bond. I understand that love doesn't recognize boundaries, that the universe is vast and full of wonders, and I want to explore it with the one who makes my heart whole. Several of the council members exchanged glances. One, a stern-looking male with intricate markings covering his arms, stepped forward. Your species destroyed our research outpost on Kepler 442, he said coldly. They harvested our people for experiments. Why should we trust any human? Elena felt sick. I didn't know, I'm sorry. But not all humans are like that, just as I'm sure not all Etheri are the same. Kale has shown me that love can bridge any gap, heal any wound. The bonding cannot be undone, Council Mother Thesa observed. What is done is done. The question now is what comes next. We will find a place where we can be together, Kale said firmly. Somewhere safe from both our species' prejudices, or, the Council Mother said slowly, you could help us find a new way forward. Your bond proves that our species can coexist, can love each other. Perhaps it is time for both our peoples to evolve. Elena felt hope bloom in her chest. You mean we could be ambassadors? Help establish peace between humans and Etheri? It would be dangerous, Zara warned. There are those on both sides who would see your bond as abomination, who would try to destroy what you have built. Elena looked at Kale, seeing her own determination reflected in his eyes. Through their bond, she could feel his absolute certainty that they could face anything together. Then we'll prove them wrong, she said with conviction. Love brought us together across the void between worlds, can bring our peoples together. Council Mother Thesa smiled, the expression transforming her ancient face, spoken like a true daughter of the stars. Very well, we will give you a ship, resources, and our blessing. Go forth and show the universe what love can accomplish. As they left the council chamber, Alina marveled at how much her life had changed in just a few days. She was no longer human, not entirely. She was something new, something wonderful. And she was loved by someone who saw her soul and cherished it, ready to change the universe. Cale asked, his mental voice warm with affection and anticipation. Alina laughed, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him again. With you? I'm ready for anything. 6 months later, Alina stood on the observation deck of their ship, the Harmony, watching a historic moment unfold. Through the viewport, she could see representatives from dozens of human worlds and ethery settlements gathering on the neutral station they had helped establish. What had started as a desperate escape had become something far greater than either of them had imagined. Cale joined her, slipping his arms around her waist from behind. The simple contact sent warmth through their bond, a connection that had only grown stronger with time. Alina leaned back against his chest, marveling at how perfectly she fit against him, as if they had been designed for each other. The Terran Federation delegation just arrived. He informed her through their mental link. Ambassador Chen seems nervous, but hopeful. Alina smiled. She should be. This is the first formal peace negotiation between our species. If we succeed here, it could change everything. We have already changed everything, Cale reminded her, his lips brushing her temple. Our bond proved that love transcends all boundaries. Today we help our peoples see what we have known all along. Their work had not been easy. In the months since leaving Nexus 7, they had faced hostility from both sides. There were humans who saw their relationship as a betrayal of their species, and ethery who viewed Alina as a contamination of their pure bloodlines. But for every voice raised in anger, they found two more willing to listen, to learn, to hope. The communication network they had established allowed for unprecedented dialogue between the species. Alina's scientific background and Cale's diplomatic training, combined with their unique ability to bridge both cultures, had made them invaluable ambassadors. But more than that, their obvious love and devotion to each other had become a symbol of what was possible. The children are here, Cale said softly, and Alina turned to see what had captured his attention. Through the viewport, she could see a group of young people, both human and ethery, working together to prepare the station for the ceremony. These were the ones who gave her the most hope. Born after first contact, they had grown up knowing both species existed. To them, the idea of cooperation seemed natural, inevitable. Look at them, Alina whispered. They don't see differences the way our generations do. They just see friends.
Among
the group, she spotted Luna Park, a human teenager whose parents had been among the first to support the peace initiative. Laughing with Zephyr, a young ethery whose musical abilities had captured human hearts across the galaxy. Their friendship had become almost as famous as Alina and Cale's love story. Our bond started this, Cale said, pride and wonder in his mental voice. But they will finish it. They will build the future we dreamed of. A chime sounded through the ship, indicating it was time for the ceremony. Alina took one last look at the stars visible through the viewport. Somewhere out there was Earth, the world of her birth. And somewhere else were the crystal cities of Ethery Prime, Cale's homeland. But here, on this station suspended between worlds, they were creating something new. Something that belonged to both of them. The ceremony hall was packed with beings. From across the galaxy, Lena had traded her lab coat for robes that shifted color like Cale's markings. A wedding gift from Zara that symbolized her acceptance into the Ethery family. Beside her, Cale wore formal diplomatic attire that incorporated both human and ethery elements. "Are you ready, my love?" he asked as they prepared to take the stage. Alina squeezed his hand, feeling the familiar tingle of energy that passed between them. Over the months, her abilities had continued to develop. She could now communicate telepathically with other ethery, though never as clearly as with Cale. Her lifespan had been extended, her healing abilities enhanced. She was living proof that the two species could not only coexist but evolve together. "Always," she replied. "With you, I'm always ready." They took the stage together, and the hall fell silent. Alina looked out at the sea of faces, human and ethery. Alike all turned toward them with hope and expectation. 6 months ago, Alina began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall, I was a xenobiologist who studied alien life from a distance. I thought I understood what it meant to seek knowledge, to push the boundaries of what was possible. I was wrong. She turned to look at Kale, letting her love for him shine clearly in her expression. True understanding doesn't come from studying something from the outside. It comes from opening your heart, from choosing to see not the differences, but the connections that bind us all together. Kale stepped forward, his own voice resonating with quiet power. My people have a saying, love is the force that shapes the universe. We believed this only applied to our own kind, but Alina taught us otherwise. Love recognizes no boundaries, acknowledges no limits. It simply is, in all its perfect, transformative glory. Together, they activated the holographic display that showed the agreement they had helped negotiate. Trade partnerships, cultural exchanges, joint scientific endeavors, and most importantly, protections for mixed relationships like their own. This treaty represents more than just peace between our peoples, Alina continued. It represents evolution, the next step in both our species' development. Together, we can explore mysteries neither of us could solve alone. Together, we can build a future that honors both our histories while embracing infinite possibility. The signing ceremony took hours, but Alina felt as if she were floating through it all. When the last signature was recorded, when the treaty was officially ratified, the celebration that erupted shook the station's walls. Later, in their private quarters aboard the Harmony, Alina and Kale stood once again at their viewport, watching the celebration continue on the station below. Representatives from both species mingled freely, sharing food, music, and stories. Children played games that combined human and ethery elements. Scientists eagerly discussed joint research projects. Look what we have built, Kale said, wonder. Clear in his mental voice, Alina turned in his arms, studying the face she had come to love more than life itself. The marks on his temples pulsed gently in the soft light, and his violet eyes held depths she was still discovering. We built it together, she corrected, and we're just getting started. Indeed, he agreed, leaning down to capture her lips in a kiss that tasted of starlight and promises. We have eternity to explore the universe, my beloved. Eternity to love, to learn, to grow. Alina smiled against his lips, feeling their bond pulse with shared joy and infinite possibility. Outside their window, the stars beckoned with adventures yet to come, worlds yet to discover, love yet to share. They had proven that two hearts could bridge any gap, overcome any obstacle now. They would spin forever showing the universe what love could accomplish. Forever, she agreed, her heart singing with contentment and anticipation in equal measure. Forever and always across all the stars.